Hello. hello. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, glad to be back at it again with another live stream. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is TubeBuddy Technician, and we're going to be going over tonight DSLRs versus camcorder for YouTube. A friend of mine needs some help getting some gear, and the budget for him, he told me, was $3,000. He needs $3,000. He wants a camcorder. Now, me personally, I'm kind of done with the whole camcorder thing. I think he should get a DSLR, but we're going to look at the options, weigh our options out, and let the intro continue. He asked me, he says, hey, see, I need your help. I want a video camera. I'm like, a video camera? I'm like, a DSLR? No, I need a camcorder. I'm like, I don't know about that, man. You want a camcorder? He says a camcorder. I mean, we can do a camcorder, but I don't know. I don't know, man. But it's your money, but it's my time. We're going to let the intro. Let's go. Shout out to Rain and Woman in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is TubeBuddy Technician, and I'm glad to be back at it again with another live stream. Salute to the people watching me in the chat room. Salute to the people watching this on the replay. And salute to the people watching this in the clouds. I greatly appreciate your time, and I hope you get some value and get some information out of this live stream. If you like the information, you like what you're hearing, like what you're seeing, definitely give me a like, a share, and if you're new, a subscribe. It greatly helps the channel grow. So, like I said in the intro, a friend of mine, my mentor, he says, hey, I need your help. I said, all right, what you need help with? He says that I want a camcorder for Father's Day. And I said, okay, cool, no problem. But he wants a camcorder. Now, I'm like, a camcorder, like, you get a DSLR for that because he wants something that's portable, compact, continuous video recording. But he's of the age where they still like camcorders, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. So you want a camcorder. I still think it would be a better option to get a DSLR, especially with the budget of $3,000. You can get a good DSLR with an exceptional lens and camera rig, and you can probably get under that $3,000 budget. However, when people ask you for your opinion and people ask you for your advice on things, it's better to just give them or help them out with what they want first, and then you work them down from there. So I found a video. A guy, and he breaks the video down pretty well between camcorders and DSLRs. Now, I already know all I want to know about DSLRs, and I have used camcorders in the past. I actually, a lot of my recording experience have been with Handycam, DV tapes, camcorders, and the such. So I got a vast experience using both. So I'm not a newbie with either. So I want to play this video, kind of see his perspective on the camcorder aspect. And we're going to do some digging on B&H and Amazon and see what we can find. We got Sneed. That one. Shout out to Sneed, R-Dub. How you doing? Yeah. So I want to play the guy's video to see his perspective on camcorders. And see what he gets from there. So again, like, we always got to find the right tune. Okay. Well, we're going to play the video, so we're not going to have the music playing. So this is the camcorder I want to look at, but first, let's play. Let's take a look at his video. And before I get into the video, his video is here. That's the video that I'm watching right now. Check his channel out. And let's take a look.
Hey, it's me, Bruce Naylor, your boomer consumer. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to refer to DSLR and mirrorless cameras as DSLRs and camcorders as video cameras. Okay, so the first thing many of us do is we get onto YouTube and we start searching for the best camera for YouTube. The best camera under $1,000, under $500, under $200. Maybe we want to be the next Casey Neistat, but it gives you that nice blurred out background. What some people, however, what they're ignoring for the same price as a DSLR, especially with a lens or two, is a prosumer level video camera. Now, this one, as I said, shoots 4K. This is the X100, but instead of a
Siova gonna have me spend the money I don't have. Makes me want to upgrade. As you know, like I always say, only upgrade what makes sense to upgrade. Don't do senseless upgrade. We are not pro senseless upgrades over here. Never that.
Smaller sensor's actually got a 1-inch sensor on it. So it's a much larger sensor. It also has an excellent Zeiss lens.
And he is correct. The camcorder is meant for video recording, so it's going to always have the bigger sensor. These are facts.
This is the equivalent of about 29 millimeter to a 300 and I think 48 millimeter lens. This would require you to buy multiple lenses to achieve the same results with a DSLR. It's all included in the camera.
That's true.
Now there's a newer model called the AX700. And yes, it has the ability to record HDR video. It has the ability to record using what's called S-Log. So you can get that flat.
And that's huge, right? Because a lot of DSLR cameras that people use, a lot of the mirrorless cameras that people use, they use them in S-Log for recording very flat color profile, and all the color is enhanced in post. So S-Log is huge as far as video camera goes.
Image profile. It can match the features of most high-end DSLRs. This sells for under $2,000 for that camera. And it's got the excellent Zeiss lens. You could save a lot of money with that one camera versus buying the DSLR with all the accessories. I priced out a Sony E-mount. I think it was a 24 to 200, 240 millimeter lens. And it cost $1,000 just for the lens. And you're getting a very nice lens that can even out-zoom that as part of the deal, either with the X100, which is still for sale. I think these are, you can pick them up anywhere from a low, I think around $1,200 to $1,500.
So pretty much what he's like pointing out is that you get more power in the video camera's lens, minus the cost of what you would have to spend on a DSLR to get the same equivalent, because this lens that's on this video camera can go between 29 to 390, I think, or 300 millimeter with the optical and digital zoom combined. So which does outpace a DSLR with a detachable lens and its capability of zoom. So most people that film with DSLRs, they get the focal length between 24 and 70. That's really like the ideal super focal length when it comes to video. But then when people get primary video lenses, they'll get a primary 35 or a primary 16 millimeter. So the only fall or downside with this video camcorder is that the focal length is at 24 instead of 16. So the 16 is going to be wider than the 24. But we're gonna let him, continue with the video camcorder.
$1,500. The AX700, I think, sells for around $1,900. And when you're shooting outdoors with your DSLR, you're probably going to need some type of what's called neutral density filter.
Neutral density filter
for short. And that's an extra expense, and you got to get them to match the filter thread size for each one of your lenses.
That's correct.
So you've got the lenses, and then you got an assortment of ND filters. Well, guess what? With prosumer cameras like the X100 or the 700, they come with built-in ND filters.
Yes, they do.
No extra money to spend on
yes.
that. Did I mention that DSLRs typically come with
An ND filter controls the lighting that comes into the lens. For cameras, the ND filters are usually expensive. For camcorders, it's built in.
a recording limit as
Now, the recording limit is where he loses me at, because a lot of DSLRs and mirrorless cameras don't have recording limits, right? It really depends. The limitation on the A6400 comes with the battery and the storage card limit, like the A7S III or the A7 III, and like camcorders next to them. Now, Canons, I believe, have recording limits. See, this is the problem right here. See, if you're using the Canon system has built-in limitations on the Canon systems they have built-in limitations on their recording for whatever reason, right? They put that into their professional cameras for whatever reason. A lot of pro Canon guys don't understand why Canon does that. Sony doesn't do that. So this is one of the downsides of having a Canon camera, because you have those limitations. So if he would have a Sony DSLR, he wouldn't be talking about a recent Sony DSLR like the A6400, A7S III, A7 III, or A9, or A6600. He wouldn't be talking about recording limits, because those cameras do not have recording limits. The only limitations of these cameras are the memory card and the battery capacity. And if you're planning on recording for long periods of time, you're going to have the card for it, and you're going to have the constant battery power to compensate for that. So this is where he's a little off that, because the camera that he's talking about right now is not a professional grade camera. But we're gonna let him finish.
As far as the length of time, normally these are about a half an hour, and then you got to press record again, and so on and so on. But with a proper video camera, you're only limited by your battery and storage on the SD card. That's a win. One of the things I really enjoy working with proper video cameras is that these are so easy to start using. The setup is
Depend on your use case. Yes, the camcorder is definitely a win.
Simpler. One thing, as I mentioned, that people say about DSLRs, you have all this manual control. On a proper prosumer level video camera, you have the same thing. Instead of aperture, they call it iris. Instead of ISO, they call it
gain. Yep.
You have your shutter speed setting. So I have full control, manual white balance. I can manually focus. I have built-in zoom on here.
Yes, built-in digital optical
And what's
zoom.
really cool is once you get this set up, and you need, look, if you're going to spend 15, no extra expense there, but if you want to get smooth video, really smooth video with one of these, you're probably going to need some type of gimbal to put it on in order to keep getting that smooth video.
And the camcorder has all of this built in.
You can learn some tricks to get smoother video. You can get professional or semi-professional video cameras have the same technology built into them as well.
Yes.
So they're ideal for the one-man band that doesn't have somebody working on focus. Sony uses phase detection, hybrid autofocus. Canon's video cameras use the dual pixel. And so they're ideal for that run and gun videography as well as that proverbial one-man band. In the final analysis, professional video cameras probably aren't as sexy for the channels that talk about video.
That's correct.
Because
it's the look
many
too.
of the things that are optional for these are built in. And so what you get is what you get, but it's very, very, very good. But there's just so much stuff available for the DSLRs / mirrorless cameras that you can create more content around viewing this lens. And the next video, we're going to review that
correct.
lens.
Yep. Content for days.
The LUT packs that I sell.
Yeah.
Those are custom lookup tables. Those for color.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
An optional course on how to use it. And
he going off low key. He low key going in. Very low key. It's very low key, but he going in a little bit.
Now let's talk about Phil. You get the idea. It's on.
So pretty much what he's saying is that the reason why a lot from his perspective is that the DSLR mirrorless camera purchases that content creators make and build content over is because they can continuously make content on the camera. They can make content on the camera. They can make content on the lenses for the camera. They can make content on the LUT packs for the camera. They can make content on the strategy, skills, and tips and tricks to use the camera to film, photography, all the type of stuff. So he's pretty much saying that these cameras are more attractive because they allow creators to make more content based off the camera, and they're more appealing than just a simple camcorder, which appears to be outdated. This is his perspective.
And on and on. There's this endless stuff in them, cages and gimbals and all this other
cages and
kind
gimbals.
of stuff. Or you can just spend the money and get a proper video camera, because
Man, he
it's
got a
really
point, man.
about producing content on YouTube. It really is about producing that content. So that's it.
He has a point.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about in this video. Hopefully this will put some of these arguments against proper video cameras to bed.
He makes some good points.
Yes, there are inexpensive video cameras out there, camcorders, if you want to call it that don't shoot the 4K. By the way, the AX100, the X700 series, I'm very familiar with Sony, so I can talk with them intelligently. They shoot 4K, 24 frames a second. If you really
4K,
take the
24.
time, you can get that, quote, cinematic look that so many people go for. Although, what does that mean? Yeah,
What does that mean, right? What does that mean?
Like beauty, it's in the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Color graded footage, and you can shoot it for 24, the magic 24 frames a second, and you can get for you slow-mo fans out there, this thing can shoot at 120 frames a second.
Okay, so
full HD, so you have those capabilities. But if you want to, if you want to master something there's a lot going for the DSLR. I'm not knocking these. I'm just saying that focus on the content, save your money.
oh, save your money.
Get a device that will work for you.
I'm gonna give you your last
on your
20 seconds, man. You deserve it.
As something to think about going forward. That's it. Bruce Naylor, your Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
And I would say this, right? A lot of people would see that as a kind of like a boomer perspective on video camera and videography, right? To go to a camcorder because they don't like using the DSLRs. But as a person, right? And I am not a part of the YouTuber DSLR mirrorless generation. I grew up using handy cams. I grew up using camcorders. I grew up using DV tapes. Like, I grew up using these things. So I would agree with him that using camcorders alleviates a lot of the issues that people have when it comes to DSLRs. But my friend, he wants a camcorder. So what I'm gonna do now, we're gonna go to B&H. We're gonna take a look at the camcorders. Amazon is not the place to go when you're looking at camcorders, so we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do B&H. We're gonna do Adorama. Okay, so we're not gonna do Amazon, because Amazon ain't where it's at. Okay. So let's go to B&H. Okay. So we got B&H up on the screen. And the first camcorder that I want to take a look at. Now, the budget that we have to look at, I got to figure out a way. Okay. The budget that we have to look at is $3,000. So we have a $3,000 budget for a camcorder. Now, the first camcorder I kind of did my little research on and found was this Canon XA50 UHD 4K 30 camcorder. So this does 4K 30. Now, the other issue is he wants a camcorder that's not too heavy. Now, the one thing about camcorders is that they tend to be a little heavy. So we're going to check out the specs, and we're just going to look at the weight. This is a 2-pound camera, right? So the main recording specs that I'm looking for is H.264. This does 4K 24 and 4K 30, 1080p 60 frames, 720 60 frames. but it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it does slow-mo. Okay. However, this does fit a lot of the things that I'm looking for, but mainly it's the size comparison, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remember that, but we're gonna come back to the camcorders. We're gonna look at some other stuff, right? Now, again, he wants something that shoots 4K, so we're gonna highlight 4K, and that's gonna eliminate everything else on B&H. And then we're gonna go features. We're gonna do high speed, okay? We're gonna set the price range to 3,000. Okay, so that eliminates quite a few, right? So let's see what we got. So we got the XF400. Again, this thing looks pretty heavy, so I've actually been looking at this Panasonic, and this is too big. That's too big. Professional camcorder. Okay, so we're gonna look at this one. So the Canon XC15 4K professional camcorder has a lot going on. This is the mount for the microphone and the lighting. Okay, I've never heard of this before. Okay, never heard of this. Wivel out screen, it looks like. Viewfinder. Let's see what the recording specs are. So maximum aperture is 2.8. Okay. Filter size is 58. Let's see what the recording modes is. 4K 30. Okay. 1080p 60. Okay. 720 120 frames per second. Okay. 2-channel 16-bit audio recording. HDMI, XLR, USB, display. Okay. How much does the camera? So the camera weighs 2 pounds. Okay, so this is another 2-pound camera right here. This is pretty small. All right, so I'm gonna keep this up. Now this Panasonic is kind of what I have my eyes on, right? So the Panasonic HC-X1500 UHD 4K. Let's see. Come down to specs. It's 25 to 600 millimeters of zoom. That's the focal length, so that's crazy. The maximum aperture is 1.8, so you're gonna get shallow depth of field. And the minimum is 4, so it's 4 to 1.8. The maximum it can go is 1.8. Okay. Let's see. All right. So now we come to the recording modes. We got 4K 60, 1080p, 120 frames per second in 1080p. Wow. Okay. Variable frame rate is 4.8 up to 120. Articulating touchscreen. Impressive. What's the weight on this guy? 2.6 pounds. Okay. Let's take a look. This is, yeah, this looks good. That's 1600. 1600. All right. So the next part is, once I find something, let's see what other people say about it, but I'm going to come to this Canon right here. So this Canon is $24.99. It's pretty big boy. We're gonna come back. Oh, let me see. It's a pretty big boy. Now he wants the high speed. Now see. Variable rates. UHD 30 to 120 frames per second in UHD. Okay. So all right, I like this, but the Panasonic might be better. Let's come back to the general selection. So we've kind of exhausted our selections. The X10 4K professional camcorder. Okay, let's take a look at this. You see, when you're looking for things, right, and people kind of give you like a lot of restrictions, and he also sets us. He also wanted to have like make sure it has it can accept 2 cards at the same time. So he be doing too much. How many cards can this thing take? Doesn't tell you. I would assume it takes 1 card. I don't believe it takes. I don't see why it would take 2 cards. I don't see how this could take 2 cards. You're just gonna have to be happy with 1 card. I'm the worst shopper for people, I swear. Let's take a look at this Panasonic real quick. 1 year ago, 4 months, 1 year, 11 months, 1 year. Let's see if anyone I know has done a video on this. Don't know him, don't know him. Cinematic footage, bokeh, and good low light performance. He also wants low light. I think we have a contender.
Panasonic HCX 1500.
Let's see what he got to say.
Footage, bokeh, low light performance. Yeah, right. If you are here for the first time, my name is Pav, and here on my channel I talk about photography and video related gear. So if this is something that you are interested in, then please consider subscribing. This is not a review of this Panasonic HCX 1500 camcorder, but a follow-up video. I have already reviewed it last year, and the link to my full review is in the description below and up here as well. In this video I wanted to answer a few questions a lot of you have been asking me and show you a few tricks how to get the most out of it. So I am going to talk about how to create cinematic look with it, how to shoot with nice bokeh, how to match the footage from this camera and any other cameras together, its low light performance or the lack of it, and can you get gimbal like handheld shots with it. So
this is a review.
in this video I am talking about
a
video camera. A video camera to make videos with.
4K, okay.
Trend seems to be to use DSLRs, mirrorless hybrid cameras, or cinema cameras like Sony FS5 or Blackmagic cameras. So who uses these cameras, and are they actually better than mirrorless hybrid cameras or cinematic cameras? Well, let's find out. Spec of this camera, at least on paper, is just amazing. It has got 42210 base.
Okay, looking at the size, that's small. That actually fits one of the criteria that I'm looking for. That's actually really small. That looks like a super small camera. That actually fits one of the major criteria that he has.
Channel recording, 4K at 60 frames per second, all the professional broadcast quality recording formats, a variety of those. It has got double card slot, Wi-Fi ready for streaming, and more and more and more. This model, the HCX 1500, is the lower of the 2 Panasonic has released. The other one, the HCH 2000, is exactly the same camera, but with addition of the top handle with a built-in XLR input.
Top handle makes it pretty heavy.
Buying this camera, you can always buy the top handle attachable, detachable top handle with XLR audio.
I mean, it looks so
later
small
in the future. First thing you notice, picking camera like this, if like me, you coming from the world of DSLR and mirrorless cameras, that's your exposure triangle. The shutter speed, aperture, and ISO are not exactly called the same on this camera. The shutter is still the same, the shutter speed is the same, but the aperture is called iris and ISO is called gain. And the gain is actually measured in dB equivalent zooms. You get pretty much every single focal length from wide to super zoom in one package, and it goes from f1.8 at the wider ends 25 to f4 at the 600mm. So Yes, you can't change the lenses, but the focal length of this lens is very versatile for pretty much any video application. It didn't take long to get used to the layout. The layout has been really well thought through. The double rings for the zoom and focusing, but you can change the zoom, the second ring to adjust different functions. It's also got customizable buttons. You can actually change the buttons to
trying to see if it has
functions.
two
It's got a
SD
user
cards
buttons on
though.
top. It's got 5 of those, but you can program actually other buttons as well to whatever you are using the most. Here I am at the Walley Abbey Medieval
That looks amazing.
ruins and testing the phase detection.
That looks really good.
Sonic HCX 1500. This camera has got a phase detection built in. Only
Look at that.
in automatic mode. If I switch the camera to manual, it doesn't actually, well, autofocusing works, but the phase detection doesn't. Obviously, recording the high bit frames and a high frame rates, and especially in 4K, a lot of cameras suffer from overheating. This camera actually has got built-in active cooling system.
Oh wow.
You can see these
Built-in cooling
vents all over.
Okay, so it has
body.
vents. Okay, that's perfect.
Panasonic
We continue
claims that you
shooting.
won't overheat in the long, when you're running it long on the higher settings. Unfortunately, I had no chance to test it, but you presume, everything so far they said about this camera, it does work, so you'd presume you won't overheat. And yeah, the cooling system is there. There is no log or raw format recording, but there is a Panasonic, it's called Cine D and Cine V profiles. They're not exactly log, but they are a little
cinema
bit flatter
profiles.
than normal video, and they got quite a lot of dynamic range to color grades, and I found I could actually push the underexposed, the overexposed footage a little bit further than expected, and it worked great. But compared very closely to Sony Cine 4 profile, it's not exactly log and it's not exactly flat, but this camera or cameras actually from a distance on for you. I'd like to thank UK Digital for
that's a
lending
good
this to me
video.
for this little review.
I want to see something else about the camera. Let me see you come back
Let's
here.
do this. Cinematic look. What is the cinematic look? I find it very hard to do.
I want to see the low light performance.
So you can do in camera to change how video this camera records looks. This can only be done by matching other cameras to this camera or entirely in post. All mirrorless and DSLR cameras, as far as I know, have adjustable color profiles. You can choose a basic standard profile, adjust saturation and contrast to match the Panasonic picture as close as possible. But using different lenses, different lighting conditions will hugely affect how the image looks. Matching the look of footage this camera delivers, even with other designed to film in controlled light environments. So if you are
That's extra grainy. Like right here. Mad pixelation.
to create low light environment, you would use the light to compensate
Look
for
at the
lack of
look at the
resolution
grain.
that small sensor or lack of light sensitivity that small sensor delivers.
Struggling
So
in
it's
low light.
not a problem if you can't control the light. In this room, this is a pitch black room, and
That's not a good representation.
this camera's stabilization. Can you get gimbal-like shots with it? For getting handheld tripod like static shots, it works extremely well. Even when
Wow.
zoomed in all the way,
That's
the stabilization
impressive.
has to work really hard when you abuse
That looks just
zoom.
like a gimbal.
So you have to bear in mind that there are limitations to how stable you can get the footage handheld. It does the job, however, well, but I don't think you ever gonna get gimbal-like shots working with this. Totally usable for handheld shooting when you don't have the tripod with you, and better than a lot of other cameras that I have used before. I like to add a little movement to the handheld shots by just leaning in or panning with my body, especially effective.
Okay, he's talking about technique. I like this camera. This camera actually looks pretty damn good. I have to admit, this camera actually looks really good. This Panasonic right here. Now, I want to look at this Canon because it does 4K 60. And after that, I'm going to look at some comparisons to the DSLR combination and what would that look like. And this Canon looks like it's kind of old. It's 3 years old. That's not really, that's kind of concerning that it's that old. I'm gonna see if someone has a video on it. Okay, let's see what this guy got to say.
Here's the Canon XF400. In this video, I'm going to talk about all the things that I like about this camera so far, and towards the end of the video, I'm going to compare some. One of the other things that I like about this camera are the microphone. The microphone.
And we're back. Don't know what that happened. No, don't know what that's about. Why is it doing that? Let me lower it. It should be able to stream. Okay. Everything looks good now. All right. Come back.
Phone connections here, the audio. So this has 4 channels of audio. You have 2 XLR and then 2 internal stereo. And there's also a mic jack here that's also internal. I mean, it takes place of the internal. So you can record 4 tracks at the same time. And here on their website, they explain the XF200, which I have right here, and I'll do a body comparison to the XF400 in a second. It's a 15 times optical zoom, and that goes from a 25.
Right, this doesn't look too big either. I don't know why OBS keeps cutting out like that. Let's see. Anyway, I don't know why OBS keeps cutting out like that. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm not gonna keep. I think I have the camcorder that I want. I kind of like I kind of like this Panasonic. Having issues with the internet, it appears. Let me see something. Okay, maybe that helps. All right, yeah, so I'm gonna come look at the DSLRs for a minute because I think the DSLRs are gonna be where it's at right now. Let me come look at the DSLR. Now he likes Sony DSLR, so I'm gonna look at right now is the A7 III. And the A7 III with the 28-70 lens is $2,000. That's with the kit lens. So the 28-70 f4 lens One second. Let me see, is the stream going on? Okay. So the bit rate's too high. Let me lower the bit rate. Okay, so let's lower the bit rate. Okay. Lower the bit rate a little bit, because I don't know why the bit rate's going to 40,000. That's crazy. Space, what's going on? Having some technical difficulties. Let's bring that down to 24. Let's see. Bro, people still use camcorders. Listen, don't hate on camcorders now. Camcorders are legit pieces of equipment. Don't hate on camcorders now. I'm just trying to fix the stream because I'm getting some issues on OBS end, and I'm trying to fix it on my side to see why it's doing that. Let's see why OBS is doing that. Yeah, camcorders are legit though. Camcorders are actually very legit pieces of equipment, but just video recording though. Like that's the misconception when it comes to camcorders versus DSLRs, is that, oh, you should just use a DSLR. But there's sometimes where the camcorder is going to be the better option over the DSLR for various reasons. I'm just trying to see what's going on with the stream right now, because OBS is telling me okay, analytics. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop it and I'm gonna restart it. Okay, 9,000. Okay, we're back. Okay, just have to restart the stream. Okay. Oh. Anyway, like I was saying, I'm gonna look at the DSLRs for a quick second. Okay, so here's the DSLR option when it comes to using, you know, video recording, stuff like that. So we got the A7 III 24-70 f4 lens. This is the L series Carl Zeiss lens. Now we got to go all the way down to specs, and what we got to see is we got to look at the video recording. Continuous shooting up to 10 frames per second at video. There we go. 4K 60 at 100 megabits, 1080p at 120, 60. Okay, then 24, then 60, then 25. So it can shoot at 120, and this should be continuous shooting. Recording limit up to 29 minutes. Okay, so here's the problem right here when it comes to DSLRs that the guy in the video earlier said. He had a very valid point. One of the biggest issues that comes with DSLRs and mirrorless cameras is that they have recording limits, and I was mistaken. I misspoke when I said the Sony cameras did not have this. But I'm curious because I don't believe my Sony a6400 has a recording limit. I don't think my Sony a6400 has a recording limit though. Yeah, it doesn't have a recording limit. Interesting. Yeah, my camera does not have a recording limit, but the professional Sony camera does for whatever reason. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, so recording limit means no for him. So that's a no. A7S III. The A7S III. Yeah, so, and here's kind of where the mirrorless cameras kind of fall apart, right? Because if you have someone that says, I want a mirrorless I want a video camcorder that does continuous shooting, and all the cameras that you look at has like a recording limit on continuous shooting, that kind of cuts out DSLRs, right? So here's what we're gonna do. Canon R5. Let's look at the Canon. We don't deal with Nikons over here, so we don't even mess with Nikons. I don't care about a Nikon. Canon R. The R5, that's out of budget. The R6 is in budget, so let's look at the R6. So the R6, its specs, we're gonna come straight down to video. UK 4K UHD at 60, full HD at 120, H.265, H.264, same, okay. Recording limit is 30 minutes. Okay, so this is where mirrorless cameras, let me just say I have to restart the stream. This is where mirrorless cameras kind of fall apart right here. See, the problem with mirrorless cameras, and this is why camcorders beat mirrorless cameras and DSLRs, is because of this recording limit right here. Now, the reason why DSLRs are so popular with most YouTube content creators and most people who want to create content on YouTube is because, where's the video? Where's it at? There we go. Is because most people, they're cutting shots, they're recording, cutting, recording, stopping, recording, stopping. So a lot of people aren't really recording full 30-minute clips onto their cards, which is what gives the impression that camcorders are obsolete. The problem is that camcorders can record continuously until the battery runs out or the card fills up with space. Now, I'm pretty sure I can go through all of these Canon cameras and I can find the same issue with a video recording limit of 29 minutes and 59 seconds. This is where, again, where DSLRs cannot compete with camcorders, which is why when someone says, I want a camcorder, the reason why their main selling point for the camcorder is continuous shooting. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to Adorama. We're going to look at video, professional camcorders. Okay. Now, what I want to do here on Adorama, the same thing I did on B&H, come all the way down. 4K 60. Here goes that Panasonic. That's a whole kit for $3,100. There was that Panasonic again, the 1601. Panasonic with the kit. Same Panasonic with the whole kit with the light. Two Panasonics. Hey yo, what's going on? Scoop was good. Comparing DSLRs to camcorders. A friend of mine said, hey, I need help. I want a camcorder for Father's Day. And I thought I could compare. A camcorder to a DSLR, but his main selling focus, his main point is the continuous shooting of the camcorder, and the DSLR mirrorless cameras can't compete with that. Now a A6400 can continuously shoot. But if your budget's $3,000, I mean, if your budget's $3,000, I mean, just get the professional camcorder at that point. That's kind of my mindset now. Because even if you're concerned about continuous shooting, then a DSLR is not going to make the cut. But the Panasonic HC-X1 4K Ultra Professional bloop 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 bloop. Let's look at the specs. I don't care about all the names. 2.8. Shutter speed, okay. Where's the video, right? Where's the video information at? There we go. 4K 24, 4K 60, 4K 30, 1080p 60. Correct, all the Sony mirrorless cameras can. So here's the thing though, right? The Sony APS-C cameras don't have a recording limit. The Sony professionals, let's look at this, right? Sony A9. Okay. The Sony A9 is $299. Oh, okay. The Sony A9 is $299. The Sony A9 does not have a recording limit. However, with the 2.8 lens, that's over budget because the budget's $3,000. So you got to come down. So my next is the A7S III, right? Now the problem with the Sony A7S III is, come here, that's over budget. Because if the budget's $3,000, you can't get a camera that's, you know, that's over $3,000. That's over budget. So you come back, you go A7S, Sony A7S, the A7 III. Got the A7 III, right? Body only. Come down to specs. Video recording limit 30 minutes. Now for someone that wants continuous shooting, that's no good. Now again, I know the A6400 has continuous shooting. However, with a budget of $3,000, missed the budget constraint. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Makes sense, right? See, if your budget is $3,000, then it like, obviously, if someone said it doesn't matter, then you just get the A9, right? A9, obviously, right? But with a budget, you got to come down. Now, my only thing is, like, you get the A6600 for continuous recording. It's small, portable, compact. However, for $3,000, I would honestly just get a camcorder and call it a day. For $3,000, I just get the camcorder and call it a day. Now he has another video professional who talked about $10,000 cameras. We're not doing all that, right? So for someone who has a budget constraint and has a very specific need, right? They need to be able to continuously shoot. Yeah, pro cam all day. No, yeah, exactly. See, we're gonna go to the big screen. See, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like pro cam all day, right? Like that's not a, so that's what I'm saying. When people come and shout out to John, when people say, oh, camcorders are obsolete. No, they're only obsolete because content creators make them appear to be obsolete. They're not obsolete pieces of equipment. Like they serve a purpose, and the purpose is continuous shooting without the headaches of overheating and shutting off and replacing tapes and things like that. Cameras, cards, whatever. So camcorders serve a need. But like all gear I talk about, all gear has to serve a need. So you have to understand what that need is and figure out which gear to serve that need. So it's not always spending $5,000 on a Sony A9 supercalifragilisticexpialidocious camera. Sometimes it could just be getting a camcorder. And when I started this live stream, I thought that I could convince my friend, hey, you don't need a camcorder, you can just get a DSLR mirrorless camera. And then after doing the research that I have done on the stream, I can come to the conclusion that if you need a camcorder for the very specific reason of continuous shooting, that a DSLR mirrorless cameras with a budget of $3,000, yeah, DSLRs mirrorless can't compete at $3,000 when it comes to continuous shooting unless you get A6400. And again, if you have A6400 and you got a $3,000 budget, might as well get the professional camcorder because it's going to look better than the A6400. So I don't know, like, so the thing is now is that what kind of camcorder to get right now. I like this Panasonic right here. There we go. Now I like this Panasonic right here. Let me take the filters off because I'm not playing anyone's videos tonight. I don't think I am. So I like this Panasonic right here, right? This Panasonic, he also has the specifications of wanting to be able to shoot 120 frames per second. The Panasonic can record 1080p at 120 frames per second. Now, with the budget of $3,000, the Panasonic cuts it in by half at $1,697. That gives you about 14, maybe 1,300, give or take tax or whatever, of extra money to buy things for the camera. Now, with that being said, when you find what you're looking for, you match it up against something a little bit more expensive. Now, I personally am very curious over the Pro Red cameras. I'm gonna tell you why. So, Red 4K camera, okay? Now, Pocket 4K. So here we go. So we got the Black Magic, right? Now, the Black Magic, I believe, uses Canon lenses. So there's a whole problem right here. Now, the Black Magic uses SSDs. Let's look at this guy right here. So here we go. Black Magic Pocket Cinema 6K camera. Right? This uses SSDs. So you can put a terabyte SSD on this thing. Now, here's where we get funky. Right? So with the price of $1,900, right? With the price of $1,900, you can then add the lens on top of this guy, right? Because I don't think that's the lens. I think you have to add a lens on top. So let's come here. Okay. 6K. So I need Black Magics. There we go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up here, and I know B&H doesn't have this because I've never seen it. Well, maybe. Let's go here. So we're gonna look at it on B&H for a second. That's just the body. The lens, I think it uses Canon EF lenses. I think it can use Canon EF lenses. So the Blackmagic Design Pocket Cinema Camera 6K, there we go, Canon EF lenses, which is good because EF lenses are great glass. It's not a, what is it, R? What is it, R, I think it is? The new lenses. EF, EFS, but we're going to go to specs. Recording modes, all this. 120 at 1080p. It can externally record to a recorder at 4221 10-bit, which is excellent. And I assume this can be continuously recorded. So when you're comparing this, this is 1900 R mount, right? There we go, R mount. Yeah, that's the new one, R mount. Comparing this to this Panasonic here now, it's tricky. So the Panasonic still is ahead because it has the lens already. So, but we're gonna look at quality and capability now because this can record at 6K. So this does an EF lens. What we're gonna do is let's see if Canon, B&H gives me a suggestion of a lens that it comes with. No lens. Okay, the Canon's gonna make me type in the lens. All right, so we're gonna do Canon EF lenses. We're gonna go right here to this boy. So that's over budget. So what I would do instead, we'll go here, we'll go SLR lenses. We'll go Canon EF. The Sigma 24 to 70, $1,000. So that's $1,099. That's $2,995. That's about $331, $3,200, right? So that's about $200 over limit. However, still close enough, right? So now, I said I wasn't gonna do this, but I've never actually really watched anything on this, to be honest. We're gonna come here. Not Potato Jet. I've actually watched this on the stream before. I think I watched it with talking to her. I think Ray was here. Which should you buy? There we go. Armando Ferreira. So let me put my fair use filters on. Oh shit. Let's watch him. I think I've seen his video before. I've watched this video before.
ND filters, being able to quickly add ND while filming is a welcome upgrade to this camera. I can't tell you how much this speeds up your workflow, especially when filming as a solo operator, something that I truly value. And the best part also is that you don't have to carry any NDs or step-up rings, and that just means that you'll have more space in your camera bag.
That's the 35mm RL lens, which is excellent.
Which is nice. Something else that you'll find different on the Pocket 6K Pro is that Blackmagic ditched the Canon LP batteries and instead are going with the Sony NPF, which are significantly better and will give you about an hour of use. They also have a new battery grip, which Griffin actually bought, and he talks more about that in his video. I actually took a different approach. I'm using the Anton Bauer Titan base. This is a battery system that has a quick
That's
release
huge,
system,
man.
which I can quickly attach and detach the camera from this and also keep my internal. Navigating through their menu system is very easy. The only issue I found out with this display is that it has a bluish tint, and Blackmagic is aware of this. I've actually spoken to them
That's
directly.
probably fixed already.
They do say that a firmware update is coming. I don't know when that's going to be, but that is the only issue I found with this newer display. Now, the last thing you'll notice that is new on the Pocket 6K Pro is this optional EVF that they sell for $495.
What is the SD?
Now, personally, I didn't buy it because I probably would never use it. I'm just not a fan of the pixel on the display.
Let's take a look at this low light.
There's always a weird quirk happening, and sometimes it's not fixable.
So I push play. Whoa! I didn't touch it that time. Didn't freaking touch it. This camera keeps ghost recording.
Ghost
It's
recording.
as bad as it sounds. Randomly, if you take the lens off the camera, if you change settings and walk away, you will come back to the camera and it will be recording. This
That's
is the
not good.
highest end camera created to make movies.
It does. It creates movies automatically.
Now, these issues are often overlooked for 3 reasons: price point, image quality, workflow. They truly offer a remarkable image for what their camera costs. There's no camera in the market at this price point that will give you the type of image quality and workflow that the Pocket offers. Honestly, their color science is truly special, and because of Blackmagic RAW, it is so easy to work in post. In fact, you can even in online.
Okay, I want to see something else. That's not giving me the information out. So before I play that, let's come back here because let's do this. Canon EF 35mm. Scoop got that 35mm. 1700. Okay, that's over budget. 18 to 35, 1.8. Ooh. 16 to 35. There we go. That's good. 16 to 35. That's a good one right there. Okay. Put that 16 to 35 on that. All right. I want to see this guy's video.
So here is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K.
No, I didn't mean to click Potato Jet. I meant to click him.
Hey guys, Caleb here with DSLR Video Shooter, and we are going to be talking about the Pocket 4K versus the Pocket 6K, which you should buy and why, because these cameras are similar yet quite different. And I think there's been a lot of confusion, and I've learned a lot
And the
about
Pocket
differences
6K has dropped
having
in price
purchased
though.
each. Now, before we jump in, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is myself. I finally finished the, and it really is incredible to have that much horsepower when it comes to raw video in such a high resolution. And at the end of the day, the real story with the Pocket 6K is 6K. So
Yeah,
if you
6K
don't
recording.
need that 6K or don't want it, and the file sizes that come along with that, the 4K is a phenomenal way to go. The next one might surprise a couple of people, and that is if you're going to be shooting in ProRes a lot, I would recommend going with the Pocket 6K. When you switch from RAW to RAW in HD,
You see, what I just kind of want to know something about the. I mean, these cameras are fucking. Oh my god.
and other companies for very, very little money if you're looking to reduce your crop. So what happens to our crop factor when we add?
You know, look at these HDMIs. You see, these guys has full HDMI, which is amazing. That's a crazy Cine lens here, which will also be a better option maybe from an EF lens, I think.
A speed booster. Well, if you're using the XL model, which I have here,
Speed booster
your
lens,
crop
okay.
factor is significantly wider than the 6K. So
Crop
field
factor,
of view,
okay.
Pocket 6K to be better than the Pocket 4K. It just seems to play nicer when it comes to skin tones and kind of that red region of the camera's color.
The 6K obviously is sharper.
I also found that white balance just seems to be more accurate on this camera. So if you've been struggling with the Pocket 4K, which I know a lot of people have, the Pocket 6K is just a little easier to work with. Another factor to consider is the lens mounts available
There
on
we
these
go.
cameras. We have an EF mount on the Pocket 6K, Micro Four Thirds on the Pocket 4K. So
Oh, Micro Four Thirds on the 4K. Oh man, there we go. That's the problem right there. Micro Four Thirds on the 4K. Damn, that's a huge problem.
if you like the EF mount, the 6K is a great option to go
Yeah.
with. Nothing needed. You just put Canon lenses on it. But on the 4K, I appreciate the lens compatibility. So you're going to have way more options when it comes to lenses, adapting Canon FD, M39, and a whole host of other stuff. that
FD
you just
cinema
can't
lenses,
use
okay.
With the Pocket 6K. So if you like adapting lenses, the 4K is a better buy because you can do that. And of course, there's also speed booster use, which there's nothing really out right now for the 6K. Something I know people are going to ask me is the differences when it comes to low light performance on these cameras. Honestly, from what I've found working with these, they're very close. They're both really, really good when it comes to being able to shoot raw and have a lot of flexibility in the low light department. They both have dual native ISO capabilities, and of course, between the two, if you have to pick, the 6K
Max
is going to be
Max
better when it
8000.
comes to low light. Buy the most expensive.
So what I really want to
best
figure out
booster
now
equipment.
is the continuous shooting aspect. Because I want to figure out the continuous shooting aspect. I'm still not sold that the camcorder, that the Pocket Cinema 6K is better than the camcorder, actually. I don't think it's better. I think the camcorder, you know, rings all the bells. To USB-C disc. Recording will stop when the storage limit has been reached. Okay, so there's that. So I don't know. I'm thinking if I was to price out the 16 to 35 with the Blackmagic 6K and the lens, that brings me to a total of $3,368. However, again, coming back to the Panasonic, that's only $1,695. So $1,697. So I think at the end of the day, if you're whoa, what is this? This sounds very cinematic. At the end of the day, really, I think if you're looking for a camcorder for a very specific reason, I think you're going to go with a pro camcorder. I don't think that if you want a camcorder for continuous recording, you would weigh your options against a DSLR, or you would even get a Cinema 4K Pro. What is it called? What's the camera called? The Pro Red, the Blackmagic design camera. Which, I mean, if you're thinking about a camera that you want to record, you would think this camera. However, again, the features that are in a camcorder are not in this camera, mainly with the stabilization, I believe, and of course the built-in lens, which the Blackmagic design does not have a built-in lens. So again, if you're looking at something with a built-in lens, the optical zoom between 29 to 300, all of the other features that are built in that you just plug and go, I just think that the pro camcorder just knocks off a lot of bells, ticks off a lot of boxes for someone who's actually looking for a camcorder. For the people that's looking for a cinematic camera, people that's looking for a versatile DSLR, a versatile video photography camera, they're going to be looking at mirrorless cameras. They're going to be looking at DSLR cameras, and then that's when your choices are varied. That's where you have, you can get whatever you want. But if you have very specific reasons when it comes to video recording, it's going to be camcorders. It's going to be pro camcorders. And again, from my perspective of actually using camcorders for many years, using camcorders, growing up learning about videography with camcorders, I can comfortably say, in my Caribbean accent, comfortably, I can say that, camcorders are a way to go if you have a very specific need for video recording. And if that need is continuous recording, camcorders are going to be the way to go. If that need is built-in audio support with not having to add a whole bunch of accessories, built-in stabilization, camcorders are going to be the way to go. If it means not having to add any accessories to the actual device in order for you to record continuously without overheating, without worrying about issues with the camera, a camcorder is going to solve your need 9 out of 10 times. So as far as I go with DSLRs and mirrorless cameras versus camcorders, if you really have a very specific need for a camcorder, I'm going with the camcorder. I don't believe that a DSLR or mirrorless camera can compete with a camcorder if you have a very specific need for a camcorder. So ladies and gentlemen, man, at the end of the day, I think I've made my case. I think I've made my point. I hope I'm gonna talk to my friend. We're gonna get up on out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is C/D Technician. I'm glad to have done this live stream. It's a topic that I've never really talked about before. It's a topic a lot of people don't talk. Well, people talk about it, but then it's, DSLRs are good. Mirrorless cameras are in, camcorders are old. But again, if you just sit down and do the research, you'll come to a different conclusion. Shout out to the people watching me on the replay. Catch this on the replay. 24 hours and it's going to go down. Like I said before, going to come up again as a new upload. I'm glad to have done this. DSLRs versus camcorders 2021. But until next time, loosen up in the shoulders, baby. Good night.